There comes a moment in life when you have to ask yourself a difficult question. Why am I chasing so hard? Why are you constantly trying to make someone understand you, choose you, notice you, love you, or stay? Why are you forcing doors to open when every part of you knows they are not moving? Sometimes, what exhausts us is not life itself, but our resistance to what life is showing us. We become attached to a particular outcome. We decide that this person must love us, this opportunity must work, this relationship must survive, this dream must happen exactly as we imagined. And when reality refuses to cooperate, we push harder, we explain more, we prove ourselves, we sacrifice our peace. We convince ourselves that if we just try a little longer, something will finally change. But there is a difference between commitment and compulsion. Commitment comes from a place of inner strength. Compulsion comes from fear. When you are acting from fear, you are not really choosing anymore. You are trying to control the uncertainty of life. You are saying, if I can just make this happen, I will finally feel safe. But life does not become peaceful simply because you force an outcome. In fact, the harder you try to control everything outside yourself, the more disconnected you become from what is happening within you. Sometimes the closed door is not a punishment. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes rejection is redirection. Sometimes losing someone is the beginning of finding yourself. Sometimes the opportunity you desperately wanted would have taken you further away from the person you were meant to become. This is why letting go requires courage. You are not giving up on life. You are giving up on the illusion that you must control every part of it. There is something deeply powerful about saying, I will do my part, but I will not destroy myself trying to force the rest. Do your work, speak honestly, love sincerely, take the opportunity, make the effort. But after you have done what is yours to do, step back. Allow reality to answer you. If someone wants to walk with you, you should not have to drag them. If an opportunity belongs in your life, you should not have to betray your values to keep it. If something continually demands that you abandon your dignity just to maintain it, perhaps the lesson is not how to hold on tighter, but how to release your grip. The moment you stop chasing what refuses to meet you halfway, something inside you becomes quiet. And in that quiet, you begin to hear yourself again. You discover that your worth was never determined by who stayed, who left, what you achieved, or what you failed to obtain. Your life is not waiting for one person or one outcome to make it meaningful. Stop forcing what requires you to lose yourself, because what is truly meant for you will never require you to become a stranger to your own soul. There is a subtle way in which many people stop living without realizing it. They tell themselves, I'll be happy when I find the right person, when I have enough money, when my career finally works, when everything makes sense, when the difficult season is over. And without noticing, life becomes a waiting room. You sit there waiting for something outside yourself to give you permission to begin. But what if the life you are waiting for is already asking you to participate? You do not need to have everything figured out before you begin living. You do not need perfect circumstances. You do not need certainty. In fact, waiting for certainty can become one of the most effective ways of avoiding your own life. There will always be something unfinished, another problem to solve, another goal to reach, another fear to overcome. If you make happiness dependent on the disappearance of every difficulty, happiness will always remain somewhere in the future. And the future is a strange place to live. It exists only as an idea. The only life you can actually touch is the one happening now. So, perhaps the question is not, when will my real life begin? Perhaps the question is, what am I doing with the life that is already here? Look around you. There are conversations you have not had, places you have not explored, ideas you have not pursued, talents you have kept hidden, and moments of beauty you have passed because your mind was too occupied with what might happen tomorrow. You may be waiting for someone to love you while failing to love the person you already are. You may be waiting for success while ignoring the small opportunities that could develop you. You may be waiting for the perfect moment while every ordinary moment quietly becomes your life. This does not mean abandoning your ambitions. It means refusing to postpone your existence until your ambitions are fulfilled. Work toward the future, yes. Build, learn, improve, dream. But do not sacrifice today entirely for a tomorrow that has made you no promises. There is a profound difference between preparing for life and avoiding life. Prepare yourself, but participate. Take the walk, make the call, start the project, read the book, sit quietly with yourself. Laugh with people you love, create something imperfect. Go somewhere unfamiliar. Give yourself permission to experience life without demanding that every experience lead to a specific outcome. You may discover that the peace you were searching for at the end of the journey was available in the middle of it. And perhaps this is what it means to stop chasing. You stop running toward an imagined future and begin becoming fully present where your feet already are. Your life does not begin when everything finally falls into place. Your life begins the moment you stop waiting for permission to live it. There comes a point when you realize that the real question is not, how do I get what I want? But, who am I becoming while I pursue it? Because if you spend your entire life chasing love, success, recognition, or approval, you may eventually obtain what you wanted and still feel empty. You may win the attention of others while losing contact with yourself. You may become so focused on being chosen that you forget to choose yourself. This is why your greatest work is not outside you. It is within you. Build yourself not into someone who never needs another human being, but into someone who does not need another person to prove that they have value. Become emotionally grounded enough to enjoy love without becoming dependent on it. Become strong enough to accept rejection without interpreting it as proof that you are worthless. Become disciplined enough to continue moving forward even when nobody is applauding. When you build yourself, something changes in the way you pursue life. You stop begging for opportunities and start preparing for them. You stop desperately searching for validation and start developing genuine self-respect. You stop asking, "What can I do to make them choose me?" and begin asking, "Does this relationship, opportunity, or environment actually belong in the life I am building?" That is a profound shift, because the person who knows their own worth does not need to chase everything that shines. They can walk away. They can say no. They can wait. They can stand alone without feeling abandoned. And perhaps most importantly, they can recognize the difference between desire and desperation. Desire says, "I would love for this to happen." Desperation says, "I cannot be whole unless this happens." The first gives you freedom. The second gives your power away. So build your inner world, develop your mind, strengthen your character, keep promises to yourself. Do difficult things when nobody is watching. Learn to sit with discomfort instead of immediately escaping it. Examine your fears instead of allowing them to secretly direct your choices. The more deeply you know yourself, the less you need to chase an identity through other people. You begin to understand that attraction, success, and recognition are not substitutes for inner development. They are experiences, not foundations. And when you become secure within yourself, you no longer approach life with the question, "How can I make this stay?" You approach it with, "Does this help me become more fully myself?" That is where real freedom begins. You do not build yourself because you want to become unreachable. You build yourself so that when love arrives, you can receive it without losing yourself. When success arrives, you can handle it without becoming arrogant. And when disappointment arrives, you can survive it without collapsing. Stop chasing the world for evidence that you matter. Build a life so deeply rooted in your own becoming that you no longer have to chase what is meant to recognize you. There is a difference between trusting the timing of life and simply sitting still, waiting for something to happen. Trust does not mean passivity. It does not mean abandoning your goals, refusing to take risks, or expecting the universe to deliver everything to your doorstep. True trust is much more demanding. It asks you to act without becoming obsessed with controlling the result. You plant the seed, but you cannot command the exact moment it becomes a tree. You can prepare yourself for love, but you cannot force another person to be ready. You can work towards success, but you cannot control every circumstance that determines when the opportunity appears. You can make the right decisions, develop your abilities, and show up consistently, but there will always be a part of life that remains beyond your control. And this is where many people become exhausted. They confuse action with control. They believe that if they work harder, worry longer, think more intensely, or constantly check for results, they can somehow force life to move according to their preferred schedule. But anxiety is not the same as effort. Worrying about the future does not prepare you for it. Your responsibility is to do what belongs to you. If there is something you can learn, learn it. If there is a conversation you need to have it. If there is a goal that matters to you, work toward it. If there is a door worth knocking on, knock. But once you have done what is within your power, allow yourself to release the demand that reality must immediately give you the answer you want. Sometimes the delay is part of your preparation. You may think you are waiting for an opportunity when, in reality, you are being developed for it. You may think nothing is happening because you cannot see the movement beneath the surface. But some of the most important transformations in life happen quietly. A tree does not look busy while growing roots. Neither does a human being. There are seasons when your life seems to move forward rapidly, and there are seasons when it feels almost painfully still. But stillness is not necessarily failure. Sometimes it gives you the space to understand what you truly want, what you need to release, and who you must become before the next chapter can begin. So keep moving, but stop forcing. Keep preparing, but stop obsessing. Keep believing, but remain open to the possibility that life may have a different route than the one you imagined. The mature person does not demand that life follow a specific timetable. They learn to act with courage while remaining peaceful about what they cannot control. You are not being asked to abandon your dreams. You are being asked to pursue them without abandoning yourself. Do your part with everything you have, then let time do what only time can do. Because the right future does not require you to destroy your present, trying to force it to arrive. Let go of the fear that you are running out of time. One of the deepest fears a person can carry is the feeling that life is moving faster than they are. You look around and see someone getting married, someone building a successful career, someone buying a house, someone discovering their purpose, and suddenly you begin to believe that you are behind. You start measuring your life against the lives of other people, and comparison creates a dangerous illusion that there is one correct timeline for becoming who you are meant to become. But there is no universal schedule for a human life. You are not late simply because someone else arrived somewhere before you. Their journey is not evidence that you have failed. Their chapter is not your deadline, yet fear can make you desperate. You may rush into relationships because you are afraid of being alone. You may accept opportunities that do not align with you because you are terrified of missing your chance. You may chase success so aggressively that you forget why you wanted it in the first place. And beneath all of this is the same question: what if I run out of time? But consider this carefully. Fear about the future can steal the very present you are trying to protect. You become so concerned about what you have not accomplished that you fail to notice what you are becoming. You overlook the wisdom you are gaining, the resilience you are developing, the mistakes that are teaching you, and the experiences that are shaping your character. There are things that can only be learned through time. Patience cannot be rushed. Self-knowledge cannot be downloaded. Emotional maturity cannot be manufactured overnight. Some doors open only after you have become capable of walking through them without losing yourself. So perhaps the delay is not evidence that you are falling behind. Perhaps it is part of your development. You do not need to race against another person's clock. You need to listen to your own life. Ask yourself, what matters to me now? What am I learning? What am I avoiding? What kind of person am I becoming? What deserves my energy in this season? These questions bring you back from the imaginary future into the reality of the present. And remember, there is a difference between having urgency and living in panic. Urgency can inspire action. Panic destroys perspective. Move forward, but do not run blindly. Work toward your dreams, but do not let fear convince you that every opportunity is your last opportunity. Love deeply, but do not choose someone simply because you are afraid no one else will come. Build patiently because what is truly valuable often requires more time than your impatience would prefer. Your life is not a race against everyone you see. You are not behind. You are not finished. You are becoming. And when you stop treating time as an enemy, you finally have enough peace to use it wisely, because your life does not need to happen faster. It needs to happen consciously. And after all this talk about letting go, trusting timing, and releasing the fear that you are falling behind, there is one final realization you must come to. Your life is not waiting for you somewhere in the future. It is happening now. This sounds simple, but most people live as though the present is merely a hallway leading towards something more important. They are always preparing for the next chapter, the next relationship, the next achievement, the next version of themselves. They say, one day when everything is finally right, I will relax. I will enjoy myself. I will feel alive. But what if that day never arrives in the way you imagined? What if the great tragedy is not that life passed you by, but that you were physically present while your mind was always somewhere else? Think about how often you have eaten a meal while thinking about tomorrow, spoken to someone while checking your phone, watched a beautiful sunset while worrying about the future. or experienced a peaceful moment while wondering when the next problem would appear. The moment was there. You simply were not fully there with it. Presence is not about abandoning ambition. It is about refusing to sacrifice every moment of your current life for an imagined future. You can have goals and still appreciate today. You can desire more and still be grateful for what exists now. You can build something extraordinary without treating the present as something you must endure. Because life is made of ordinary moments, a conversation, a quiet morning, a difficult lesson, a walk under an open sky, a laugh you did not plan, a person sitting beside you. These moments rarely announce themselves as important. Yet when years pass, you may discover that these were the moments that mattered most. This is why presence requires awareness. You begin to notice what you previously ignored. You listen more carefully. You feel more deeply. You stop rushing through experiences simply because they are not leading somewhere obvious. And something unexpected happens. When you become fully present, you stop needing life to constantly prove that something better is coming. You begin to understand that peace is not always waiting at the destination. Sometimes it is hidden inside the journey you were rushing through. This does not mean you should stop growing. Growth remains essential. But growth does not require dissatisfaction with who you are today. You can honor your present self while becoming someone new. Perhaps that is the deepest form of letting go. Letting go of the belief that your real life begins later. Later is not guaranteed. This moment is. So look at your life again. Not through the eyes of someone waiting for something to arrive, but through the eyes of someone who has finally realized that something has already arrived. You are here. You are breathing. You are experiencing. You are becoming. And there is still time to live deliberately, to love sincerely, to create meaning, and to become more fully yourself. Stop waiting for life to become perfect before you allow yourself to experience it. The future will come when it comes. But this moment is already yours, and if you do not live it now, no future will ever be able to give it back.